Good early afternoon. We are live. I'm Andy Andrews, and you have joined the Blue Plate Special. We are here in Orange Beach, Alabama at Wisdom Harbor Studios at the Wharf. And if you are going to visit us anytime, make sure that you get your pictures taken on the incredible escalator statues we have here at the Wharf. We have Marlin statues, but we also have escalator statues. They look just like real escalators. You can stand on them, take your pictures. Unbelievable sculpting job. Just like got the grooves in the steps and everything. Look just like escalators, except they don't go up and down. Anyway, we're glad you're here. If you're new to the Blue Plate Special, if you're on Facebook, please share us. Okay, just share us to your page. It's an easy little click over here. And also click that notification button. And don't forget to turn on the notifications on your phone. That way, when we go live here, you will be notified. Whether you're asleep or whatever, doesn't really matter. We have a bunch of people here today. We have a bunch of people. Can you see them out there, Matthew? You know who these guys are, right? Yeah. First Baptist, Woodstock. Hey, isn't that Johnny Hunt? Yeah? Okay. All right. Yeah. See, I know the pastor. Hey, you know what? Johnny Hunt is a great example of somebody who can take a joke. I wish we could think of something to play on him today. But I saw a video when Johnny, it was like the anniversary, and Johnny had been at the church for, I don't know, like 150 years or something. And so there was a thing going on where they were really like roasting him. And you watch, somebody like that's like famous like he is and a big deal. You get to see how they react, and you can look in their eyes. That camera's right on him. And very good guy. And I'm glad you guys are here. They're like, I don't know, I would estimate 5,000-6,000 people here in the studios today. But we're really glad you're here. And so just, have fun, stay with us. We've got some good stuff today. If you're joining us on Twitter, hello. If you're joining us on YouTube, click that subscription button. Okay, that would really help us. Just go on there and just click that button. If you're on Instagram, hello to you too. And but we're going to talk about a couple of things that are pretty cool today. One is we're going to have an information overload on rabbit tobacco. So just wait till you hear about this. And you're not going to believe the trade. I mean, you're just not going to believe what we got for the hog hunt. Okay, you're just not going to believe. So just wait and hang on. There's Christy, my sister. Hey, Christy. I've got something over here for you. So if you just maybe come over sometime this afternoon. Okay. Who's that? Who's trying to plan their trip to Whitney's? You just finished up Just Jones last night. Excellent. And from Connecticut, you like the podcast? Listen, the podcast this week just came out today. Last week was Bill Gaither, and Bill's just like one of my favorite people on the planet. And then this week was Steve Jacobson, who is the founder and CEO of Fairway Independent Mortgage, which just finished last year at $65 billion. And you got to see this CEO. If you want to see the CEO that I guess you would want to have, I think a lot of CEOs should probably take some lessons from Jake. He's fun. He's the kind of person that you like being around, and you'll get that. You'll get that on the podcast, The Professional Noticer. So Bob Woodall says, "Rabbit what? Get out of here, Bob. Don't even tell me you don't know what rabbit tobacco is. You're from Dothan, Alabama, just like I am." Hey, Jason Elkins. Let's see. Who else do we have here before we get started on the rabbit tobacco? Danny Holland. Yeah, we got those escalators. Yeah, and Misty Williams. You like the Just Jones Java? You know, I told Matt yesterday. First of all, I'm not really that much of a coffee drinker. Okay, or I didn't used to be, but now I am. Mohammed Salman from the Kingdom of Bahrain. Hey, glad you're here. What time is it in Bahrain? I'm not really sure. This is hot, and this is good because I wish I had $1 for every cup of coffee that I have brewed and taken with me and sat down next to me and then not thought about it again until it was cold. Do you guys know what it's like to have ADD? I mean, it is absolutely. I'm going to do a show on ADD at some point and try to like show you, just like track some thinking. Patty Greenwood, hi, freezing in Oklahoma. No kidding. You know, it's cold here too. I just got a call from a friend that said our hot water heater is frozen. How about that? Austin was out in Idaho and they were outdoors in minus 19, and one of their friends spilled coffee on her jacket and it froze before she could brush it off. Okay, you want to know about rabbit tobacco? First of all, I got to tell you how I got started on this project again. Do you know what rabbit tobacco is? Of course you do. Of course you do. You know, what about, now there's a lot of, you guys look like late teens, early 20s, am I right? Yeah. All right, raise your hands out there in the studio if you know what rabbit tobacco is. Wow. This Gen Z is, you guys, do you know who the Oak Ridge Boys are? Raise your hand if you know the Oak Ridge Boys. Huh? Look, we got a little Gen Z back here. She's 7 years old, and she didn't know who the Oak Ridge Boys were. Which still blows me away. I said, it's so Papa Mau Mau means nothing to you. And nothing, okay? But the rabbit tobacco thing, now, here's how I got started on this. Teresa Payne from Colorado, and you have never heard of rabbit tobacco. See, I don't believe Bob Woodall when he says he's never heard about it. Bob Woodall probably got spankings for smoking it. But I was at hunting camps like 3-4 years ago, and I'm riding with a friend of mine. Hey, old man, Kevin Perkins is here. Well, I can tell now somebody has gone on Google now. So you're informing me. Don't. Oh, all right. So just hang on. I'm going to tell you all about rabbitback. So I'm at the hunting camp, and I'm riding in a Polaris with Joe Bullard, and Bullard is like a big brother, best friend, great guy, friend of mine, and I said, he's driving. I said, stop. Look at that. He said, what? I said, look, right there. He said, what? I said, hang on. And so I went and I pulled it out of the ground. Now, this one was about that high, okay? Pulled it out of the ground and said, what do you think? He said, what is it? I said, Joe, it's rabbit tobacco. He said, what is that? I said, seriously? You grew up in the South? You don't know what rabbit tobacco is? And he said, no. And so I took it, but as we were driving around, I'm kind of thinking, well, is that something that, see, we used to take it. We would, see, these are the leaves, and we would take this, and then you take it and you strip them like that, all right? So you got that. And we take them, and we'd roll them up like that, and then, being the connoisseurs of rabbit tobacco we were when we were in the 6th grade, we would take that and roll it up in grocery sack and smoke it in grocery sack, right? I mean, we were too poor to have corncob pipes, all right, but we smoked it in grocery sacks. And so anyway, as I'm riding around with Joe, and he has no idea what it is, I'm thinking, is that something we just made up when we were kids? I mean, did we just like find some kind of, thing out there and roll it up in a paper sack and we called it rabbit tobacco. I mean, did we name that? Because I'd never heard anybody else talk about it. So I'm thinking, I thought that was a thing. Well, so I get home, and Tommy, a guy there at my house, Tommy says, he's helping me unload the truck, and he says, "Is that rabbit tobacco?" I say, "Yes, it is. It is. How do you know what it is?" He said, "Oh, man, my mama, when we would get sick, my mama used to make us drink tea made out of that stuff." I said, "Really?" He said, "Oh, yeah." He said, "Oh, but every time we got sick." So I'm thinking, okay, well, it's a thing. And so I went in and I started Googling it, and researching it and trying to find some stuff out. And I was blown away. Because Mike Rawls and Harry Sneed and Bob Woodall in Dothan, Alabama, we would smoke rabbit tobacco. And at one point, let me just tell you this, I would find it every now and then, like throughout my life, throughout my teens, I would find this. I'd see it growing somewhere, and I would say, "Oh, there it is," and take it. And it doesn't taste great or anything, but it's, I've never smoked anything else, and so it's kind of a Baptist sin, okay? Most kind of sins we can get away with. And so when I was a senior in high school, Kevin Perkins, I know you remember this. Kevin Perkins and I made corncob pipes because we found rabbit tobacco. And so we made some corncob pipes and we smoked it. Now, of course, you don't smoke this around your parents or anything. You're not smoking it around adults, especially when you're in the 6th grade and smoking grocery paper. But I was like in high school at this point. Kevin and I were in high school. And there was this little bitty like wet place that we called a pond down behind our house in Columbus, Mississippi. So that's where Kevin and I went. We went down there, sitting down, backs to the house, smoking our pipes. And about a week later, you remember, and you guys, I know, do not remember this, but there was once a time where telephones had dials on them and stuff, and they didn't have cameras. And so you had a thing that was called a camera. It was its own thing and didn't have a telephone attached or anything. And when you took a picture with this thing called a camera, you would have to go to a place that we used to call a drugstore because they weren't in grocery stores or anything. And we would give them our film, and then a week later you would get it developed, something we called developed. And so Kevin and I are back at the house a week later. My dad comes in, and he says, "What are y'all doing?" Nothing. My dad, the minister, okay? My dad, the minister, the Baptist minister. And I said, "Nothing." He said, "Well, look at these pictures. I got some good pictures. Just picked them up from Rexall." We're like, "Okay." And so he throws them out. He goes to another room, take the pictures out. There's, picture of my sister by the azaleas, and there's a picture of my sister dressed like a dog for Halloween or something. And then we see there's this kind of a longer shot that has fog in it or something. We look and we go, "What is that?" "Well, that's the pond down there." That's us. That's us. "Oh, that's us smoking." And my dad had slipped up behind us and taken pictures and never said anything. It's just kind of one of those kind of things, just hey, you're not getting away with nothing. So through the years, I have still come across rabbit tobacco, including a couple of years ago with Joe Bullard. And so I have now done some amazing research, and I'm going to tell you about rabbit tobacco, okay? But you're going to be blown away. I'm just telling you. Rabbit tobacco is fairly wide-ranging. If you're east of Texas and Oklahoma, from Florida to Canada, you can find rabbit tobacco. Okay, vacant lots are really good, which I guess sixth graders spend a lot of time on vacant lots, or we used to. We used to find maypops there. You know what maypops are? Sure you do. But vacant lots and these empty clearings in woods, empty fields that haven't been planted in a while. Rabbit tobacco is known as kind of a pioneering plant because it invades these vacant places and dry slopes and hills. And it can reach, I've seen big old clumps of it. They're like 3 feet high. Most of it generally is like about this, okay? But there is a website called The Southern Herbalist, okay? And it's run by a guy in North Alabama named Daryl Patton. And Daryl Patton says that rabbit tobacco is one of those plants that falls into what he calls, and he is like this master of herbal medicine or something, But he says that rabbit tobacco falls into the category of what he calls folklore, meaning that it's not used very much today, and there hasn't been a ton of research conducted on rabbit tobacco compared to other medicinal plants, right? Then he goes on to say, and I'm quoting this, "This is a shame, since few other native plants can compare themselves to rabbit tobacco, which is a veritable medicine chest growing on the side of the road." I mean, this is an argument. Other than an illicit smoke behind the barn for generations of children, and occasionally finding use as a sinus treatment, it has fallen out of use. And so I'm thinking, what? I'm one of the generations of kids behind the barn, even though we didn't have a barn. But so Daryl Patton says that he has a friend in Alabama, and this sounds like somebody from Huntsville to me, okay? He said, because that's where all the rocket NASA stuff. So his friend in Alabama spent years with the Navy tracking Russian satellites, and the guy is trained as a chemist. And so Daryl says that this friend has come in very handy when he needed some plant analysis performed. And so when Daryl asked, his friend was more than happy to run the gas chromatograph on rabbit tobacco, okay? And so although he has always known this plant is like this power medicine chest of healing stuff, he says this, and I'm quoting again, he says, "To say the least, I was shocked by the results of these tests." Okay, so get this. The primary healing chemicals found in rabbit tobacco are called terpenes, and they've demonstrated an ability to positively affect cytotoxic cancer, which is cancer affecting living cells, and viral infections such as the common cold and flu. Okay, there are also chemicals known as sterols and saponins, which demonstrate healing effects upon the body. Okay, these chemicals are soluble in water as well as alcohol, and the mode of action differs upon which manner you choose to extract the medicinal properties. Either way, it doesn't take a lot of this to positively impact somebody. A spoonful of the dried leaves in an infusion of hot water reduces the length of any viral infection, while at the same time soothing cough and expelling mucus built up in the lungs. Now just wait, this is fixing to get really good. Dr. James A. Duke, in his U.S. Department of Agriculture database of medicinal plants, lists rabbit tobacco as being anti-hepatomic, which means it fights liver disease, anti-mutagenic, so it can be used while having radiation to prevent mutation of genetic material, anti-tumor for the lung, and anti-tumor in ovaries, and it is an immunomodulator, which immunomodulators are medication used to help regulate or normalize an immune system. And the examples include being used as add-on therapy to treat asthma. Now, in the Peterson Guide to Medicinal Plants, Eastern Central Edition, Dr. James Duke provides a list of uses that's really kind of more easily understood. Sore throats, pneumonia, colds, fever, and the dreaded diarrhea. On the website, Plants for a Future, which is pfaf.org, it is also listed as let me get this right, a diaphoretic, which means it induces perspiration, a diuretic, which means it increases urinization, an expectorant, which means it increases expectations, and an astringent. So this site also lists it as several other things, but however you choose to use this plant, it's like kind of powerful and works with a wide range of elements. All right, now we're almost there. So you smoke the dried leaves. There's one way to use it. Smoke dried leaves in an old corncob pipe and blow the smoke out of your nose. Now, it has a definite bite. It's pretty strong. We learned that rabbit tobacco did indeed open up the sinuses and dry mucous membranes. You know, we were up at the hunting camp, and there's like a field of it up there. And Austin, our oldest son, Austin has, he's like allergies and stuff like that. And one time we were up there, and his nose is running, and he's hacking, and he said, "Should I try some rabbit tobacco?" And I'm like, because I mean, all those things that it causes. I mean, like in my childhood, it caused a spanking one time. But he's like, 20 at the time. I said, yeah, I guess, I don't know. And so what he did not inhale it. He just like put it in and blew it through his nose, like blowing it through his nose. So I didn't even say, "Where'd you learn how to do that?" But he's like blowing it through his nose. And man, 5 minutes later and the rest of the afternoon, he didn't have a runny nose.
Wow.
I mean, it was pretty amazing. So in the Southern Appalachians, now this is the rest of my research here. In the Southern Appalachians, the Cherokees used these leaves for sweat baths as a sedative for sleepless nights, for colds, and as a local pain reliever for muscle cramps and arthritic pains. Any of you guys read Just Jones yet? Have you? Okay. You know how it starts at the very first with the Muskogee that became the Creek? Okay, well, the Creeks of that Muskogee Nation, I found out, used rabbit tobacco for many of the same things the Cherokees did. They also used it for mumps, vomiting, and as a psychological aid. Not really sure what that meant. But I always wonder how did they ever come up with that? I mean, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that I wonder, how did you know to do this? Who ate the first oyster, right? I mean, who looked at a rock and said, "Crack that rock. I bet there's something in it we need." I mean, who came up with that? And who drank milk for the first time? Right? I mean, you see a baby cow eat or you see some animal, but how do you know what's going in there? I mean, whoever ate, drank milk for the first time, I mean, you think about it. These guys stand around and somebody says, "See that growth hanging under that cow? Squeeze it, I'll drink what comes out." I guess. And so I don't get how these guys figured out that something was I'm going to set this on fire and breathe in the smoke, and it'll help my sinuses and my mumps. I mean, how do you figure that out? I don't know. But other Native American tribes along the entire East Coast used rabbit tobacco for the same things. And the Rappahannock, get this, the Rappahannock, the records show the Rappahannock smoked rabbit tobacco in a pipe for asthma. And so, they run this spectrum thing to find out that it really did have stuff in it that they were pretty accurate on what they were using it for, which is amazing. So there's many ways to prepare and use rabbit tobacco, but there is one major consideration involved with the plant, and that is it grows during the summer, but it only gets this whitish gray thing in the fall. Okay. And so it's critical that if you're going to, and look, I'm not saying use this. Okay. I'm not telling you, don't go to the doctor, just smoke some rabbit tobacco. I'm not saying this. I'm just giving you just this little weird information. But according to their test, that you have to use it if you're going to use it to get the medical properties. You have to use it when the leaves have turned that silvery gray green color in the fall, because until then the chemical constituents are not fully developed and the medicinal value of the plant is poor. So most of the terpenes and saponins are not present, and any infusion or tincture made will not be very effective. That being said, rabbit tobacco is very simple to use, whether it's used as an infusion, a tincture, smoking, or in the most powerful form, which is distilled extract, which is like you steep it for 5 minutes or you put it in alcohol or something like that. But there you go. There's our information on rabbit tobacco, and I'm just telling you, you can find it. Here's one. This is just curious to me, is that amoebic and bacterial forms of dysentery respond well to an infusion of rabbit tobacco. Apparently, it rapidly kills the bad bacteria while having a drying effect on the colon, acting as the herbal equivalent of Imodium AD. So, but that's all in like these medical books. And so in alcohol, they take some kind of alcohol and put it in there and then let it wait for a while, and it short circuits viral infections, evidently. A few drops of this tincture of extract in a cup of warm water. It's supposed to make a soothing tea, which brings a flush to the internal organs, raises the core body temperature, and produces a cleansing sweat to a sick body, along with reducing the temperature. The terpenes in the rabbit tobacco will have the time, cut in half the time it takes to overpower the virus and recuperate. So very, very weird. So Janice Burke-Warner, hello from across the glass. We're so excited you guys are here from Woodstock. I'm gonna come out and say hey when we get through here. But I'm about to give the trade. I'm going to tell you. Do you guys know about the trade? Do you even know? We're not going to go through the whole thing, but we started the very first show of the new year. We started with a safety pin, and we decided that between every Blue Plate special, we usually do them on Tuesdays and Thursdays. This week we're skipping Thursday, but next week we're back to Tuesdays and Thursdays. But between every Blue Plate special, hey, Gene McDonald, there's Gene McDonald. Between every Blue Plate, we're trading whatever we've traded for last time, we're trading it again. And so we're just going to go for a year and see what a safety pin is worth. And so, as some of you know, we traded the safety pin for 5 acorns, then 5 acorns for a used bottle of buck urine. And then, some of the guys out there get it. Some of the hunters get it. But the thing that was so weird to us is that the instructions on the buck urine were also printed in French. And so it's like, really? Because so evidently we're exporting that stuff. And of course, with the balance of trade, we're getting croissants and we're giving them buck urine, which sounds like a good trade to me. But anyway, we're kind of traded it up, and so what do we end up? We traded. We had 4 baseballs last week. Had 4 baseballs. We had a Lou Brock signed baseball, a Roger Clemens baseball, Andy Pettitte, and a World Series 1994 baseball, which the reason that baseball is so valuable is because 94 was the strike year, and so it was World Series printed up and everything, but the games were never played. That was a World Series baseball, and the World Series never happened. But we traded those to a guy, a granddad, who wanted the balls for his grandsons, and has this very nice place out in the swamplands of Alabama, and it's a very nice camp house. And so he wanted those baseballs, and he traded, and so we got 2 nights at this camp with all the cooking done, all like this, and for 2 people, and the entire day, a guided boar hunt. So, it's like, wow, from a safety pin to a boar hunt. But believe it or not, there were a ton of people that wanted that boar hunt. I mean, you would not believe some of the offers that we got, but of course, we've traded it. We've traded it, and here's what we got. Can you throw that up on the screen, Matthew? We traded it for 3 days and 2 nights for 4 people, including 4 spa passes at the Emerald Grand Resort in Destin, Florida. A hog hunt for a vacation in one of the most beautiful places in the world. 3 days, 2 nights for 4 people, including 4 spa passes. Okay, so our next Blue Plate special will be on Tuesday, next Tuesday, right? And so now, I'm going to show you a video in just a second. It's only going to be just like a 60-second video, but I just want to say that if you are out there somewhere in Bahrain or Mississippi, which both places evidently are pretty close together, and you want this fabulous vacation for 4 people, come up with a trade. Come on, come up with something. Got to have something good. And we're trading up. I mean, I'm seeing a book in this already, And I guess the book would be, we could call it Trading Up. And then the subtitle is, How Much is a Safety Pin Really Worth? Because we're all kind of shocked. I mean, it's February, and we're up to a vacation for 4 people with the spa and everything at this incredible resort. Unbelievable. Okay, before we get out of here, I want to show you this thing. Somebody sent us this the other day, and we thought this was pretty funny because, it was funny, but it was also kind of informative, just like certainly my lecture on rabbit tobacco has got to be one of the most informative things you people have ever sat through in your life. Wake up. And, but this, we hear people, should I go green? Do we want to get rid of petroleum? What do we want to do? And so somebody sent this, and we thought this was very well done, 60-second video. And it's, what would your life be like without petroleum? Most of us think, okay, you get an electric car. Okay, but you ready to roll this? Can we see this out here?
I can try setting it up out there. I had it to go to the broadcast, but I'll see what we can do.
If we can't get it out there, these people are going to break this glass.
I believe you.
They're coming in. If we can't get it out there, if it only broadcasts and we can't get it out to you, we'll come out. We'll show you in a little bit. All right?
Yeah, I can definitely play it. I can play it out there after for sure.
60 seconds.
Have you ever considered how much your world depends on petroleum-based products?
Would you have ever figured that? I mean, I guess I knew this, but I wasn't in on all the other stuff. But that's pretty amazing, isn't it? Before we go, I'd like to say hi to the Cleverleys who provided me with my T-shirt today. The Cleverleys annual benefit squirrel hunt, which on the back it says save a whale, kill a squirrel. But the Cleverleys, go on YouTube and check out the Cleverleys. I really want to have them in sometime and have them come in the Blue Plate special, because it's one of these kind of groups go, are these guys for real? I mean, they're incredible musicians, but very, very funny. So, all right, you guys, I appreciate so much you being here. We're gonna be back next Tuesday. Say hey to Johnny if he's watching. If he's not, we can all send him the link, and he'll have to watch it like 1,000,000 times. What else? Anything else going on? I don't think so, except that it was Keith Glein's birthday yesterday. And Keith, you're like 92 now. Okay. Anyway, we appreciate you being with us. Come in and visit us sometime. And I think that's probably, okay, one song. I'll do one song, but that's it, okay? One song. Okay. The request has come for the theme song to Underdog. So, okay, I'll do Underdog. Anybody out there remember Underdog? Some of you do. Those of you who don't remember, you could give me the ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, because that's how it's. All right, here we go. When criminals in this world appear and do the things we all should fear, there is no need to worry. The cry goes out from far and near for Underdog, 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 Underdog. Speed of lightning, roar of thunder, fighting for the one who's under. Underdog, Underdog. There's no need to fear. Underdog is here. That's it. See you next week. Bye-bye.